Going on to the rugby, let's have a look at Saracens 38-15 over Northampton. Goodey, you were picking two away wins, weren't you?
Well, I said there might be a chance, and there was a chance, and then Carl Dixon got involved.
What? You reckon that was the chance? You reckon that moment was the chance?
Well, no, listen, fair play to Sarries. I think a lot of people looked at Sarries and thought they've hit a bump in the road, obviously. Since La Rochelle, Billy's injured, then they didn't play that well a few weeks after. Then they sent the kids down to Bath and took 60. And you just never know, do you, how teams are going to react. And we spoke to Finn Smith, and I think Finn Smith convinced me that they were going to win because they were keen. And then I should have realised when I saw Alex Mitchell be interviewed on BT Sport, and they were all on the piss the week before at David Ribbons' house having a leaving do, I should have known then, boys, mindset not there. Mindset not there. And then I should have looked even further and gone, who the fuck's the referee? And who's the TMO? And who is the assistant referee? Well, two assistant referees. Sarah Cox, I thought she was brilliant. The rest of them, absolute shambles.
Really?
And then I'd have made my mind up that Sarries were clear favourites and we're going to win the game. But yeah.
You're not a fan of Carl Dixon, are you? He's just been picked by World Rugby to be a referee at the World Cup.
It's nothing to do with being a fan of Carl Dixon. I am looking at his performance from the game at the weekend, and I'm going to say that's the worst refereeing performance I have seen in a long, long time. I thought it was awful.
There's a headline.
Yeah, it starts off, and Stuart Terry's the TMO as well, starts off, that collision from Sean Maitland is 100% minimum a yellow card.
Minimum a yellow card, I agree.
Yeah, and there is a line between, some people might say, it could be a red, elbow to the face, all this stuff. Carl Dixon's like, he's just mistimed it. When's that mitigation, pal? In any other scene, have you ever heard a referee say, he's just mistimed it, that's okay? Mitigation is he's mistimed it. No. And ironically, we saw Sean Maitland goes on to score a try a couple of minutes later. And listen, Saracens, before we get into loads of little nitpicky decisions, Saracens were by far the better team. And I tweeted it. Saints were playing like a schoolboy C team. Like Alex Waller, your most experienced player, gives a penalty away, says, sorry, sir, gives the ball to Van Zyl, the scrum half, and says, go on, mate, have a try. Saints were awful in that first half. And Saracens were exceptionally good, but they were helped by some absolutely shocking refereeing from Carl Dixon.
Some positive, though. Owen Farrell was on absolute fire.
Performance.
It was a world-class performance. It was a masterclass on every level.
Yeah, I'll tell you that kick he's put through, just before you carry on, Jim.
Oh.
Off his left peg, through someone's legs. Like, ridiculous. And like, you look at a lot of players, when they stick it on their wrong foot, it comes off the shin, it travels 50 metres further than it's meant to. It was absolutely perfect. He was on fire, Farrell.
Tackle him.
Yeah, smash it. Mate, do you see him fly in and smash people?
Yeah.
How are your shoulders, Faz? Well, they're all right because you've broken someone's ribs on the way through.
He's got big arms, though, hasn't he? He's got small legs. I mean, that's genetic, as we know. But he's got big old arms. But I thought he was another level. If you think about what he's gone through in terms of injury, form, the pressure and everything that's happened over the last few years, he's just raised his game. Like, he is out and out England's best 10 by some distance, I would say. But George Ford was class for sale, but we'll get on to that.
We'll get on to that. But Faz was so good, he can have his foot in the stands and still offload it and it still be in play.
I think Goodey might have wanted Northampton to win this one.
No, I didn't at all.
Yeah,
I didn't. Listen, I'm not bothered by Northampton.
I'm bothered.
I'm a Leicester lad, aren't I? So, Northampton are rivals of Leicester as well. So I had no affinity to either team in that semi-final. But I tweeted it. Why aren't the best two referees refereeing the semi-finals? It should have had Luke Pearce on the pitch refereeing that game.
Why wasn't he?
Well, apparently, I've spoken to someone at Premiership Rugby, and apparently you cannot referee a semi-final and a final.
What?
So is Luke doing the final, is he? Well,
it's not announced, but if you put two and two together, we've probably got Carl fucking Dixon again. But no, it's that's what I understand. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But supposedly, that's what they say.
Is the logic to give everyone a go, or because obviously you're not putting your best refs out there on purpose?
I don't know is the answer to the logic. Look, logic and rugby don't necessarily go hand in hand at the minute, do they? But logic would say to me, get your best two referees refereeing the semi-finals, and then get your best refereeing the final. Because you saw from the weekend, look at the difference in refereeing teams from Saturday's semi-final to Sunday's semi-final. Sunday,
Barnsley was unreal.
Wayne Barnes, unreal. Luke Pearce, unreal on the touch when they're going through everything. You look at the two referee teams from the weekend, and they were poles apart. Absolutely poles apart. And listen, Saracens, the way they played, they were going to win the game. But you talk about momentum. You start a game, Sean Maitland goes in the bin, as he should, or possibly a red. Whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. But no, there was some big performances from Sarries, weren't there? First and foremost, when I saw Jackson Ray come out with his 4 kids and the emotion in the stadium, everything that he's put into that Saracens jersey, his last ever home game, that was spine-tingling at the start of the game. And, you know, he probably didn't think he'd have that opportunity to lead the team out from a starting jersey. I thought he was great. Ben Earl, we were talking about Premiership Players of the Year last year, and big shout out to Ollie Lawrence, who won the award. How did we not mention? Yeah. But how did we not mention Ben Earl? And how wasn't he on the shortlist? Because Ben Earl in the Prem all year has been monstrous. Now, he did have his hands on the floor a lot and then got the penalty. Don't worry about it, Carl Dixon. But you play the ref and he got away with it, and he was monstrous. The turnovers he was getting from breakdowns, that's where the game was effectively won and lost, I thought. And he was out of this world, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Physically, the way that Saracens played, it looked like a bit of the old school. And the thing is around Northampton, and they were talking about it in commentary, and it was quite obvious, really, wasn't it? Was you're not going to go through Saracens. I know you've got to earn the right to go wide. I just thought there might have been a bit more innovation from Northampton, a bit more kicking, whatever that bloody means. It's easy to say, like a bit more kicking, but putting them under pressure in the skies. And this is the thing when you play against Saracens, they are so good under the high ball. They're the complete team, and if they get you on counter-attack, then you bollocks either way. So, yeah, I just thought Northampton's game plan just didn't look 100% how I would have approached it, but that's credit to Saracens and how physical they were, I suppose.
The first half, they went against their kind of DNA. Second half, when they were 21-3 down or whatever it was, they showed the way they play and their real DNA, and they came back into it. They closed the gap. I think they closed it up to, was it 9 points they closed it to?
Yeah, after Mitchell's try.
Yeah, Finn Smith misses the conversion to take it to 7 points. And then they're in the mix. They've fought their way back in from 21-3 down. They're right in the fight. And then Ian Tempest doesn't see Faz having a beer in the stands getting an offload away. That leads eventually to a try a few phases later via a couple of breaks. But how bad's that? You're in the stadium and you can see someone so far in touch, but you can't go back for it. And it's just ridiculous, isn't it? We got all these TMOs. There was a stoppage about 2 phases later, and they went, "Oh, we can't go back because it's not for a try score. It can't be an intervention, and we can't go back because it's not from a try scoring play or from any foul play." I'm like, this is just like rugby's amateur as hell on stuff like that. Just get the decision right. Imagine the NFL, most watched game in the world. They go back and they find it, and then they cancel the touchdown.
I thought his foot was in. It just didn't look out to me. From where I was sitting, just didn't look out.
Well, Leicester's reign's over. Was it pretty much the game that you guys were expecting? They lost to Sale, or were you expecting that sort of game plan from both those teams?
I didn't think Leicester would come as close. I'll be honest with you. I thought Leicester, especially when Andre Pollard, who's been, you could say, their form player this season, and he pulls out just before the game. And this is no disrespect to Jimmy Gopperth, but we've seen him on the bench for the last few weeks. Covers 12, hasn't really played a huge amount at 10, and he comes in. Actually, Jimmy Gopperth played really well. To be fair to him, yeah. Like, I don't know why we're even second guessing that, even at the age of 40. He was brilliant, but
he's 39. Don't give him another year yet.
Oh, really? Okay, wow.
He wants to play on for one more year, so just say he's 39. Say he's 35, and he'll get another contract.
No, because I need to say he's 40 because that makes me feel as if I could still do it. So I'm sticking with 40. But he was really good. But I mean, what a game in terms of physically. I'm going to go back to, I thought with all the disruptions Leicester have had this season, I looked at the profile of the team. I looked at Manu Tuolangi and how he started that game as well. I thought Sale were going to win it comfortably. And you've got to credit Leicester. I thought Tommy Raffel was unbelievable. Jasper Wiese as well. Just the way that they played. And to be fair, again, when you unravel it a little bit more, playing against a team like Sale, the way that Leicester play, when they are physical in defence, they do target the breakdown, and they've got the kicking game, you could see why they gave them a load of problems. But and again, go a bit deeper into the energy and the atmosphere. Like, how good to see the Sale Sharks. And we've had Simon Orange, love Alex Sanderson, everything they've been through as a club. You got to think 2006, last time they won it. I mean, there was talk of them going to the wall as well a few years ago. That was just rumours. And then you look at them now. Look at me now. Look at me now. And I thought they were brilliant. So I am absolutely pumped to see Sale go through, just because everything that they've been through, the work of Alex Sanderson, and yeah, I thought it was a brilliant game.
Yeah, the George Ford was out of this world in terms of his game management. And when you look at a very close semi-final like that, you look at some minor differences. Very small margins win your games in these tight ones. And George Ford was class. Obviously, the loss of Andre Pollard, would have loved to have seen that matchup. Jimmy played well. Big thing for me, I think Wiggy got selection wrong. I really do. Harry Potter, I don't want to be harsh, but he makes errors. And he contributed to at least 10 points for Sale. And this is
Really?
this is really nitpicking. Yeah, this is really nitpicking. So defensively, they're trying the first half. He's way too tight. Sort of flies out the line a bit. They get to the edge and score pretty easily in the corner. Then he gave a silly penalty away against, I think it was Carpenter, took him out in the air, which was fairly marginal, but still, you just can't touch him. George Ford kicks that. There's 10 points. There was another one where he got done for being held on. I'd have gone, you're playing against Sale, right? You know the kicking threats are coming. Why did they make such a song and dance about Chris Ashton getting off his ban? As I said last week, if you remember, I thought it was only a yellow card when Jim's laughing at him for ending his career for a red. But why did they make a big song and dance about it and then not pick him? But also, you got Mike Brown, one of the best bomb diffusers in the world, and offers a hell of a lot, I think. So I'd have picked Brownie or Ashley instead of Potter, especially knowing the aerial threat that was coming and looking back on what happened with a couple of errors. But then the other error, and I feel harsh saying this as well because I love the kid, Jack Van Portfleet, I think it was Rob de Preer put the kick through, and then he takes it into touch a couple of metres out, doesn't he? Just got to let it bounce over the try line, dot it down, take the goal on drop out. Because what he did by trying to stop the ball going into the in-goal area, he then gets bundled into touch. And from that, Sale scored the crucial try. Aaron Reid with the worldie of a pickup from George Ford's bounce pass on the outside. So that semi-final, tiny, tiny margins and real little errors get exposed massively in the bigger picture. And
the kick to the corner.
Yeah, they missed a couple of kicks to corner, didn't they?
Yeah, Atkinson, well, this is the thing. So they're 8 points down and they've got about 5 to go. You've got to get 2 scores. Atkinson, they decide to go for the corner. You've got to take the 3 there. That's game management. That's understanding of run the clock. You know, you've got 5 minutes left on the clock. Take the 3 points so it gets it back to a 1-score game, because you can effectively take 5 minutes to score a try and then you've got nothing to go for. So for me, I think realistically, that there were errors. Jack Van Portfleet's one at the end. They're just rushing it. The game's lost. But Atkinson's one, they should have taken the 3 points. And then he compounds the mistake of not taking the 3 by putting it dead. But credit to Sale, their physicality is off the charts. MANU, have a look back at the start of the game, right, and how he's trying to tackle people. He could kill a man.
Yeah.
If he times it, and he timed one on Harry Potter from a kick chase really well, and he pulled out of another one, didn't he? I think it was on Anthony Watson as he went back for a ball. But my God, he could kill a man the way, and I mean that not in the sense of a head contact, but the way he flew up a few times and was trying to exocet missile someone in the air, you knew he had the bit between his teeth, didn't he?
He looked the best he's been in that game, as in the very best he's been. And it's funny listening to Alex Anderson talk. He doesn't give Manu a talking to before the game now. He just lets him go and does it. He doesn't want to get him too fired up. We saw what happened last time he got him fired up. He got red carded for elbowing
Saints, wasn't it?
Yeah, against Northampton. But yeah, again, can I bring the tone down again slightly? Just a couple of notches.
Here we go.
Yeah, another big injury in the Jackal. Ben Curry looked like he snapped his hamstring. Yeah, whilst jackling, which you don't want to see.
You don't know. But Tom Rafael, jackling to the cowsheds and back, hard as you like.
Yeah, I know. And then can I be a little bit more negative again? Just once. I know. I thought Coley's yellow card was harsh, and even though he's 65 and probably didn't make a difference because he's old, but yeah, I thought it was a harsh yellow.
But on that, and this is my problem with the game at the minute. I think this is a real issue in the game. So Akker van der Merwe has taken it in. He's obviously felt the head contact, and it was innocuous. But yes, it is letter of the law, and GMO Goodey says it is a yellow card. But then you see Akker van der Merwe on the floor, gets the physio over, signals to John O'Ross, the captain, shoulder to head, but then he doesn't go off for a HIA. So if there's enough in it for a shoulder to head yellow card, then I'm sorry, you got to go off for a HIA, especially if boys stop appealing for stuff.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, Andrew. And I'm trying to think back if we were playing.
I appealed. I appealed.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
I appeal for everything, but when you're talking HIAs and shoulders to heads, and now you're actively trying to get players yellow carded or red carded, I ain't got time for that. And so I think mandatory, if there's a yellow card for a head to shoulder, and we're talking about safety of players, you've got to go for a HIA. And it's just a bugbear of mine at the minute. When players are appealing for it because they've been hit in the head, you've either been hit in the head or you haven't. And if you have, get off for an HIA.
I know I shouldn't bring the tone down. I shouldn't have brought it up. Should I?
And talking about HIAs, I've got one more rant as well.
Are you going Ben Youngs' one?
No.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
They were trying to look for it. And fair credit to the refs. We're looking at it going, we're going to go by the letter of law. But it was a wrap, it was fair, and it was all good. The one I'm going for is when, and I mentioned it earlier, Dupree comes off with what looked like a broken wrist, broken arm, or something to his lower area of his forearm. And they're trying to claim a HIA so they can get Curry back on. As he's walking off holding his arm like this. And Sale tried to claim initially it's a HIA. The team managers come over, all this stuff. The geezer looks slick as anything with his side parting. And then Leahy, the fourth official, has done a hell of a job. And he's like, no, that is an injury to his arm. Curry can't go back on because he's been substituted. It's not for HIA. So you had to put O'Flaherty on to make it 15 players on the field, not someone that's already been substituted. So rules is rules.
I know. Amongst all the drama, though, in that, it was an unreal game, wasn't it? Like it was. And you think about what the final was going to look like. I think Sale will cause Saracens because of the physical aspect. I think Saracens will have too much, but it's any given Sunday and all that. But the narrative around Ford and Farrell, that's going to be brilliant. But I just think Sale, the physicality can cause Saracens problems defensively and with MANU as well, going down that channel. Oh my gosh.
Can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Alex Lazowski defending and Tompkins.
A banger.
Lazowski especially is a boy that can bang.
He's a banger.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those collisions. It'll be mouth-watering. So 2 great semi-finals. A lot to moan about from a team of referees. Not Sarah Cox, I thought she was good. The other 3 that were involved on Saturday. And Sale, great to see them in the final, even though it's at the expense of my team, Leicester.
Before we move on to the URC, just on MANU and his form, does that completely change England's chances at the World Cup?
Yes.
The whole dynamic.
I think he is that important and that integral to England doing something. And look, days gone by, the 12 and having a player like that is everything for a team in terms of game changing. It has changed loads now. Like, how many 12s do you talk about? If you think about world rugby as a whole, when you think about Ireland, when you think about France, you don't think about the 12 specifically, do you? Like Ireland, we're talking about the whole team, complete whole team. We're talking about guys like Ringrose, talking about Mac Hansen, Hugo Keenan at 15, just to name a few. France, we're talking about Dupont. Yes, you do reference the 12s, but Manu's just that different. Point of difference for England. Like the way that he played, I know it's a club match, but if the physicality, the power, 3 men to bring him down, even on the decoy runner, you could say that Harry Potter bit in because he was worried about Manu taking that short line. When he is fit, what he can do in attack, but also in defence in terms of game-changing moments, getting their crowd on the feet, he is that important, I think, to England. Borthwick must be loving life, seeing him fit.
Just shout your man. If he's anywhere near you, just shout your man, lads. You wouldn't fancy that, would you?
Well, I did fancy it once, and like I've said, he sat me down, and he probably had a nappy on. He was that young at the time.
Pod. Rugby pod.